Good evening. Hi. Vision, skills, and a drive to lead is how I would sum up our commencement speaker, Tory Bartlett. Now, Tory Bartlett started his career in the food service industry 20 years ago as a dishwasher and a cook at Hooters of America, and worked his way up to Vice President of Franchise Operations, where he was responsible for opening over 120 restaurants around the world. In December 2013, he was hired by an Atlanta-based full-service restaurant company called Tin Lizzy's, and he was hired as Chief Operating Officer with a mission to grow the brand. In 1 year, Tory proved he had the vision, skills, and drive to lead Tin Lizzy's to new levels of success, and in 2014, he became the company's first Chief Executive Officer. Now, Tory also served in the United States Army, received his Bachelor's of Science in Business from the University of Phoenix, his Master's of Business Administration from Kennesaw State University. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome my friend, Chief Executive Officer at Tin Lizzy's, Tory Bartlett.
Thank you. Whoa. First, I thought I'd start off telling a little story about Dave. Dave and I first met, I think you said 8 years ago. And he helped me place a pretty important key executive over at Hooters. And if you know anything about the recruiting business, you typically get a 20-30% fee. 30? Okay. And I was able to negotiate a golf bag trade with Dave. So I don't know if that makes him a bad businessman or me a good negotiator. So I'm going to cough it up as me being a good negotiator. So thanks for having me. So it's an honor to address this group of individuals on such a special day. It's no small feat that you've put in the hard work, sacrificed time with friends and family, and more than likely suffered through some financial hardship to be here today. I commend you on your character to grit through and be able to celebrate this huge accomplishment. When David asked me if I'd be interested in speaking at this commencement, he made a point to tell me that these were no ordinary students. These were a diverse set of individuals from many backgrounds, walks of life, and times in their lives. To me, this just makes your accomplishment even more special. To begin my message with you, I'd first like to walk you through my path of getting a degree and working through a career. But there is 3 points that I want hopefully leave with you today. The first one is strive to be an expert at your craft. The second one is always provide a solution to the opportunity when you see something. And the third thing is attitude is a degree of separation. So my story, I grew up in Iowa. And my parents divorced when I was young. And my senior year in high school, I moved in with my father in Lake of the Ozarks, Missouri. And my passion at the time was not a lot. I goofed off a lot in school. And the only thing I really had a passion for was basketball, quite honestly. So moving to a new state and moving to a new school, I quickly found that I didn't fit into the new basketball program and even the school. I was used to goofing off. And this basketball program, they took it seriously. There was a lot of work, and the players took it very seriously. So I was not prepared, and I walked in thinking I was one of the better players. And the first few games I got to play a little bit, and then I remember going to a memorial tournament. I think it was at Thanksgiving or something, and we played 4 or 5 games, won first place. And I remember standing up on the stage as they gave us all medals, thinking that I didn't deserve this medal. So that Monday, I got a meeting with the coach, and I walked in, and I said, I quit. I'm done. I thought for somehow that by quitting, I was winning. And I'll never forget the words he said. He said, you're going to regret this. And he was very nice and coachable about it, but I really thought that I was winning. So as fate would have it, that basketball team went on to win the state tournament, and I wasn't part of it. And it was pretty cool to see the limousine pick them up at school, and they got to wear these cool tuxes and stuff. And at that point in my life, I realized that something's got to change. I had to get a D in English my senior year to graduate, and I got a D. And I decided that I wasn't going to college afterwards. My grades weren't good enough. So luckily, I found the United States Army Reserves and went to the reserves. And through training, obviously, I finally found something that I was scared of, drill instructors. And they straightened me out pretty quick because in the Army, you're not going to have a bad attitude. You're going to work pretty hard, and you're going to be 100% all in. And so from that point, I got a letter from my wife, who was my girlfriend at the time, and told me she got a job working for Hooters. And I never even heard of Hooters at that point. And so, I was in the reserve, so I finished my training and moved back to St. Louis and enrolled in community college and started washing dishes at Hooters. And from that point, I was 100% all in on washing dishes. I wasn't gonna quit. I wasn't gonna embarrass my wife at the time who got me the job, but I was just committed. And so I never wore the orange shorts, by the way, but I did shake a lot of chicken wings. So that afforded me the opportunity to be a kitchen manager and then eventually be a general manager. And at 20, I was the general manager of a multi-million-dollar restaurant with no degree, with nothing more than just hard work and what I knew about the restaurant industry, and at that point was very little. And I took a look around at the organization and the people that my peers, and a lot of them had degrees, a lot of them have more experience working in the industry. And I said, there's got to be something to set me apart. So I decided at that point I was going to be the expert at something that was the hardest thing in the company. And at the time, it was food cost. Back then, you didn't have the technology that we do to have dashboards and all these things popping up on your phone and telling you what's going on. You really had to roll up your sleeves and kind of dig in. And coming from the kitchen, I knew what to do. And so I dug in, and before long, I was known as, I had the best food costs in the company. I was getting recognized by my peers and my friends. And that afforded me the opportunity to get promoted to an area director. And as an area director, I was running 5 or 6 different business units. And it was honestly a dream job. But I remember my first day, they handed me a beeper and a laptop. Who's had a beeper before, by the way? Okay. They gave me a beeper and a laptop and no training, really, just said, hey, go out and do it. And once again, I kind of looked and reflected on what made me successful as a general manager, and that was, I'm going to be an expert at something and try to be what's the hardest thing that people struggle with? And at the time, it was hiring people, both quality and quantity. And so I kind of dug in. I took a look around at the organization again, and my peers were looking for people that were successful running other concepts as they were hiring managers. They're looking for people that did a good job running Applebee's or Outback or whatever. And there just wasn't a lot of those people out there, especially those people willing to jump ship. And so I started looking around for people that had 3 different qualities: work ethic, intelligence, and personality. And if I found those people, I knew that I could train them about the restaurant business and I could make them successful. And before long, I was known as someone that could build teams. I got an opportunity to be a divisional vice president at the age of 30. And then I eventually got promoted to vice president of franchise operations. And talk about a dream job. I mean, I got to fly all over the country and actually the world eventually and just visit franchisees, help them with their business. And I remember walking into the CEO's office after I kind of traveled all over the country and even the world. And he said, okay, give me the SWOT analysis on the organization. And I remember just dumping all these problems on his desk. And quite honestly, stuff that he already knew was going on. What this stakeholder was doing, this is dirty, these people don't have this infrastructure, whatever the situation was. And I remember thinking, I'm not doing my job. They can pay anybody to get on a plane and fly all over the place and tell them what's wrong with the company. They're paying me to fly around and put together a strategy and then implement the tactics. And so from that point forward, I really made an effort that whenever possible, if there was an opportunity, I was going to try to provide the solution. And it might not have been the right solution, but I was going to be part of the solution and not part of the problem and just kind of throwing issues into the punch bowl, if you will. So as anything happens, organizations change. And Hooters, actually, the founder actually passed away, and they had to sell the company to settle the estate. And I found myself kind of looking at a new path for me. I'd been with the company for 20 years. I did go back to school and earned my bachelor's degree and was enrolled and taking an MBA. But I knew that I had topped out. I had applied to be the CEO when they were looking for a new CEO, and I didn't get the job. And it wasn't because of me or the company. They were looking for somebody with a diverse set of skills, specifically in the public field. And so I said, you know what? It's time for a change. And luckily, I stumbled into the good guys at Tin Lizzy's, and I found myself being the CEO of Tin Lizzy's and leading the strategy and the tactics. And every Monday morning when I wake up, I'm happy to go to work. And I think that's really important. So back again on the three points that I want to leave with you. Striving to be an expert. As CEO, people often looking to you to be the expert of everything. And I can tell you right now, I'm not the expert of a lot. What I am an expert at is surrounding myself with good people. People that are hardworking, have good personalities, good work ethics, and I can work with people like that to help me provide solutions for the company. What I am striving today to be an expert as, quite honestly, is delivering and growing a corporate culture. And that's important in any organization, but specifically in the Tin Lizzy's brand, because when I started with the brand just a few years ago, we had 5 restaurants. We just opened our 12th restaurant just a few days ago, and I can tell you, doubling an organization within a couple years, we went from having 350 employees to 1,000 employees. And you think about that, if 10% of your workforce is doing something dumb, that's 100 people out there ruining your business. So it's pretty important that you have a corporate culture to help ground the values and the beliefs in the organization. The second thing is about providing a solution. I challenge people walk in my office every day when they provide opportunities or hey, here's an issue, what's the solution? And let's come up with a solution together. But that's really important. And lastly, and not least, is the attitude. You all have degrees now. At some point in your near or coming future, you're going to be sitting beside somebody competing for a job, an opportunity, a raise, or whatever it is. It might be experience or whatever it is, but I can tell you right now, the degree of separation is going to be your attitude. Your attitude and how you approach your personal life and your career. And because leaders are looking for people like that. So, graduates, you now have something special with this commencement today that you can celebrate much further than today. Today is not the end, but only the beginning of what you can accomplish. Thank you.